Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast. Today I have my good friend Jakob. He is the founder and CEO of Hermetica. Real quick, give us a brief overview of Hermetica. What are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. At Hermetica, we're building USDH, which is the first Bitcoin-backed yield-bearing stablecoin. We essentially use a spot Bitcoin position. We couple that with a short perpetual futures position. We lock in the dollar value of Bitcoin. That's how you can think of it. And then we issue that dollar value on chain as a stablecoin. There's a yield component to the system since we're generating yield from funding rates. And we pass that on to users that stake the stablecoin. So there's a stablecoin. There's a liquid staking token, SUSDH. And that's all live on Bitcoin L1 and Bitcoin L2s, fully backed by Bitcoin. That's the short and sweet.
All right, so we got a spot position, and then we're hedging it based on a long position, and that essentially keeps the rate relatively stable.
A short position, exactly. So we hold Bitcoin, we short the same amount, basically 1x short on the futures market that hedges the delta, as you say in the trading world, and then we have a dollar position. So we have Bitcoin that is locked in terms of dollar value, no matter where the price goes. The dollar value of that Bitcoin doesn't change. If the price goes down, there's more Bitcoin. If the price goes up, there's less Bitcoin, but still the same dollar value.
All right. Then we've got the Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. What is it? USDH. And then we've got a liquid staked version of that. So SUSDH. Correct?
Correct.
And then talk to us a little bit. There's earned 25%. So talk to us a little bit about like some of the yield of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the futures markets, you have the funding rate, which is essentially a mechanism to make sure that the futures positions or the futures contracts trade in line with the underlying spot asset. And since Bitcoin is an asset that has a lot of demand for long leverage, right? If folks want to be long the asset, and we're essentially providing that long exposure to folks because we're short. We're providing short liquidity. The data shows of the last 5 years, longs have paid shorts on average it's around 12% annualized. And in bull markets, it goes significantly higher than that. We saw 26% in the 2020 bull market, and in bear markets, obviously a little bit lower. So that's where the up to 25% yield comes from. We collect the funding rate on our short position, and we pass it on to folks that stake the stablecoin. The other element to keep in mind or to consider is that the whole supply of USDH is earning that yield because all of it is short, but not all of USDH is staked, right? And those, let's say 50% of USDH is staked, those 50% earn 100% of the yield. So the yield can be even higher than the 12% annualized over a year on average, or the 25% in the peaks.
Got it. So talk to us a little bit about the flow. So is it they go to Hermetica.fi, they purchase the stablecoin, and then they opt to stake it, thus getting more of the, we'll call it native yield. And then they can use the liquid staked token that is a derivative asset of the staking position.
Yeah, exactly. So if you hold USDH in your wallet, so you can hold it as a runes token on Bitcoin L1, you can hold it on stacks as a L2, as the first L2 that we've deployed to. And you can come to our website, hermetica.fi, and one-click stake it. It's really simple. In return, you get a liquid staking token that represents your position. And then that liquid staking token goes up in value every day, depending on the funding rates that you see coming in. And then if you want to cash... Oh, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Very interesting. And just continue with what you're saying. Sorry, there's a giant lightning storm outside my window.
Yeah, I hear it. It's like, if you want to cash in, you just unstake, and then you get your USDH back, and you can trade that. But you can also obviously trade the SUSDH token, send that around, sell it, and that's why it's liquid.
And then talk to us a little bit about like pre-Hermetica, was there a Bitcoin stablecoin in existence, or are you guys kind of developing a new frontier here?
Yeah, so there's a number of stablecoins I think that are coming to market right now in the Bitcoin ecosystem. We're the first one that is fully Bitcoin backed and live on Bitcoin L1 and Bitcoin L2s. So yeah, we're pushing the envelope. We think that the Bitcoin DeFi ecosystems should have a stablecoin that is, at the end of the day, still Bitcoin, meaning that underneath it, it's actually still like holding Bitcoin. Like if you hold USDH, you're still holding $1 worth of Bitcoin. And we think that that is the perfect stablecoin. It's a very scalable setup. It's a very capital efficient mechanism to build a stablecoin. There's other stablecoins that are over collateralized systems, similar to a Liquidity or a DAI, that are very interesting. They're very decentralized, but they are not as capital efficient and have a number of other drawbacks. And so that's why we chose this one. And first to market and servicing the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and I do apologize for all the thunder and lightning going on behind me, but we'll say that adds to the interview idea. So, talk to me a little bit about the stablecoin market in general, because we've seen that Stripe acquired Bridge, which was we'll call it like a stablecoin infrastructure company. Stablecoins are obviously some of the leading product market fit that we've seen in blockchain in general. Why do we need a Bitcoin-based stablecoin? Like, can't people on Bitcoin just pay with Bitcoin? Like, how is this being kind of adopted and thought of?
Yeah, there's a lot there. So let me unpack the stablecoin landscape a little bit, and then we can talk about why a stablecoin, why not Bitcoin, why we need a stablecoin. So if you look at the stablecoin landscape today, you really have two major buckets, I would say, of stablecoins. You have RWA-backed stablecoins. That's your Tether, that's your Circle. They obviously have massive product market fit. They have great liquidity. They're being adopted in emerging markets, I would say, as a dollar bank account and for payments, cross-border payments, remittance, and all that good stuff. It's a 150 to $180 billion market and rapidly growing. It's like 100% year over year growth of the last 5 years, I think. There's a lot there. I think stablecoins are extremely important. Everybody would agree with that. They are, though, fiat backed, right? They're all still dependent on the old financial system, so to speak. And that's where we see the problem. And that's why you have the other bucket of stablecoins, which are crypto collateralized stablecoins that essentially allow you to have a stablecoin, a dollar asset, but be fully in the crypto world, meaning you're not relying on banks, you're not relying on a central bank asset. And that has the benefit of that independence, right? We've seen stablecoins having issues when the banking system having issue, like SVB that happened in March, I think last year, had a significant depeg with USDC when Silicon Valley Bank had their problems. And so we think that if we are building a new financial system, a decentralized financial system on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, and in other chains, we need a dollar asset that is native to that ecosystem. And that's why we're excited about building crypto collateralized stablecoin. If you look at the crypto collateralized stablecoins, you have two main versions, I would say. One is the over collateralized version, where you essentially lock up a crypto asset into a smart contract, and then you borrow a stablecoin against that, creating basically a leverage position where you print the stablecoin against the value of the crypto asset. It's a very interesting approach, is quite decentralized because you can do it all on chain in smart contracts. It has, though, a number of drawbacks. The main one being that it's not as capital efficient, right? You have to lock up double the amount, triple the amount of collateral in order to create a stablecoin, which obviously finance likes efficiency, right? We don't like our capital just sit there and not do anything. The other major issue is that it creates a leverage point, right? You like essentially borrowing something into existence, so you create a liquidation level, and that can create a user experience that is not ideal in our opinion, because if you hold a stablecoin, you don't want to necessarily worry about a liquidation level, right? You're not interested in getting leverage necessarily. And that also leads to the other drawback, which is it's not as easy to maintain the peg and arbitrage the peg, because a lot of these users lock up their crypto assets, and there's different vaults that need to be arbitraged if you want to maintain the peg. And not every user is interested to become a market maker and arbitrage the peg. And so a lot of these systems allow a mass redemption, meaning you can redeem the stablecoin against all the collateral in the system, which then leads to a user experience where you lock up your Bitcoin, you want to keep the Bitcoin, right? But then at some instances, it just gets sold without your permission, quote unquote. I mean, I consent to it because you're part of the ecosystem of that protocol, but it's a user experience where you don't know when you're selling your Bitcoin, which again, in our opinion, is not the best user experience. So the other alternative to that is to not over collateralize, but still be a bit crypto collateralized system, and that we do through futures markets. So we essentially use the futures markets to hedge out the dollar exposure, and that allows us to be fully capital efficient, meaning we can represent 100% of the crypto in the protocol. In our case, it's Bitcoin as a stablecoin. There's no over collateralization needed because we're hedged, and we also don't have a liquidation level, so we don't have to manage that. There's no situation where the price drops and you get liquidated on your position, and it's a lot easier to maintain the peg. And then as a benefit on top of that is that there's actually a yield, a native yield to it, because really as a side effect of hedging, right, we couple the spot with a short. The short in itself serves the function of hedging the dollar exposure, which is important for this ecosystem. But as a side effect, we get a yield, which we then can pass on. So we believe it's the best architecture for a crypto collateralized stablecoin that can scale, and that's why we're building USDH. And then to your other question, where's the question being, why do we need a stablecoin? Why don't we just pay with Bitcoin? Obviously, Bitcoin is on the path, in my opinion, to becoming money, in that it's on the path of becoming the store of value and unit of account and medium of exchange. But it's not there yet, right? Like we all love Bitcoin as a store of value because it goes up in price, but it is not yet the unit of account of the world. That's still the dollar, meaning most financial contracts, most debt, most expenses are denominated in dollars. And so folks want to hold dollars and want to transact in dollars and see a dollar asset in crypto ecosystems. And that's why we need a stable coin. It's the units of account, and the dollar is what people want to pay in and denominate their portfolios in. And that's why we want to provide that to the ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. And then talk to me a little bit, because you mentioned some, maybe layer one's not really much of a partnership, but the stacks for sure is a partnership. So talk to us about some of the adoption and partnerships that you guys have, landed thus far, and how that's kind of pushing the platform forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, the important partnerships are obviously you need to trade a stablecoin. There needs to be liquidity. So we're integrated with the major dexes on Stacks as well as on Runes. You can trade USDH against any Stacks asset, as well as trade it on Bitflow, on DotSwap or Magic Eden for Bitcoin. And the other major unlock or partnership for us is money markets, right? If you have Bitcoin or other assets in your portfolio, you might want to borrow a USDH or a stablecoin against that. And we actually just announced a major partnership with Zest, which is the leading money market on Stacks, that allows you to borrow USDH against any Stacks asset. And we're working with Liquidium, which is the money market on Ordinals and Runes, to do the same on the Bitcoin side. So those are the major partnerships for us in DeFi, and there's a lot more to come in terms of using USDH and SUSDH as collateral assets, for example, to trade perps on a decentralized perp deck. So you could essentially hold SUSDH, which earns the funding rate from centralized exchanges, and use that as collateral to trade perps on a decentralized exchange. So you're earning funding rate on one side and then paying funding rate on the other side. I think that's a really cool use case for these assets, and I'm really excited about those coming online soon. We're still super early in Bitcoin DeFi, right? It's still like day 2 maybe.
Yeah, and if people want to go more deep on Bitcoin DeFi, they can go back to Robin's episode from Liquidium, which just recently mentioned. You can go. We have the Stacks, we have the Bob episode. So there's quite a few episodes people can go back to. Talk to me a little bit about how you guys built this. So you talked about the spot, getting the perpetual contract. Was there any difficulty? I know building on Bitcoin is not particularly easy, as many guests have said. So talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges there, or if there wasn't any challenges, even better, right?
Yeah, no, there are certainly challenges. I mean, building on Bitcoin is difficult. One, it's super slow and quite expensive to do, right? So you need a lot of patience as a dev. On Bitcoin L1, there's no smart contracts, so you cannot do a lot of things. On Stacks, there are smart contracts, but even the smart contracting language there is new. It's Clarity, it's not Solidity, which has its own idiosyncrasies. So it's really not just a straightforward dev experience as well. I would say for us, it's a little bit different because since we are on centralized exchanges, right, we have to tap into centralized exchange liquidity because that's where 95+% of funding rates and perp liquidity is. And so we need to do that. In order to do that, we use custodians that allow us to have our coins in custody, basically, and at the same time make them available on exchanges. And that has been a challenge to set up, but that's not really dependent on the Bitcoin ecosystem. And on the flip side, we don't need a lot of smart contract infrastructure, right? Our footprint on chain is quite low. We need a token contract, a staking contract, a minting contract, and those are not they're not rocket science. They obviously have security considerations and other things, but they're not crazy complex. And on the Rune side, it's simply a Rune token, right? On Bitcoin L1, you can't really do that much. I mean, what Robin and the team over at Liquidium are doing, they're probably pushing the envelope on the Bitcoin L1 tech a lot with DLCs and the stuff that they're doing with ICP, etc. But for us, it's really just issuing a token, which is you inscribe the token and now you can mint it and redeem it, and that's the complexity there is on Bitcoin L1. I would say that in general, Bitcoin L1 is quite hard to build on because there's not a lot of docs. There's not a lot of people that know how to do it. So we had to learn that from scratch. Actually, the folks at Liquidium helped us a lot. And yeah, I think there's a lot more that can be built on L1 that just going to take time to fully develop. But yeah, there's no major technical challenges for us, I would say.
Well, here in Colombia, where I live, pretty much everyone uses USDT. So if maybe you could speak to some people in developing markets or even in the US, like why pick this stable coin over some others that exist? Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the native yield, which is quite appealing. But talk to us a little bit about like why go with a new stable coin?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a plethora of stable coins coming online, all with having different trade-offs. I think USDT is obviously the big daddy and has major adoption, especially in emerging markets, Latin America, Africa, Asia. And I use it a lot, and it is quite liquid. What I would say the difference is that yes, with us, you can get a native yield that is quite significant. Over the last 7 days, it's been 25%. Which is real yield. This is not like a token emission or like some fancy other things than just a market activity that we're harvesting, right? Like there's people that want to be long and we're providing that long leverage and we're passing that yield on. So it's a real savings account. That's how you can think of it. If Tether is your checking account, USDH can be your savings account, and you can make significant gains just by holding $1. And then the other element I would say is that if you don't fully trust the fiat banking system, if you want to diversify some of your wealth away from that, and that if something happens to the fiat system, you're not that affected, that's where USDH comes in, where you can essentially hold $1 that is completely outside of the banking system and therefore does not rely on that system to be friendly to you, right? And also to be operational. And those two elements, I think, are great if you want to diversify in your portfolio away from that. You can hold USDH and stake it and earn that yield. The other thing I would say is that in developing markets, obviously there's a lot of USDT adoption. We're actually building out a product that will allow you to still hold USDT, essentially a USDT denominated yield. So if you want to earn a yield, you can use our platform to do that through USDT, so you can deposit USDT, earn a yield, and get USDT back out. And that's coming online pretty soon here as well.
About what the upcoming milestones and developments are that people can look forward to for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we're working with the Liquidium team on making a lending product with USDH reality, where you can deposit Bitcoin and borrow a stable coin on Bitcoin L1 while the stablecoin is actually still Bitcoin. So full Bitcoin all the way. I think that's a super exciting product for folks to get leverage, for folks to get some value out of the Bitcoin without needing to sell their Bitcoin. So that's coming down the pike. And then obviously the Bitcoin ecosystem is developing pretty quickly, and that there's a lot of exciting L2s, a lot of cool technologies coming online, Arch Network, roll-ups, etc. And so we want to be there and service the Bitcoin community where they end up, being and establishing communities and ecosystems and deploy to other L2s. And then the other element is that we're working also on a product that is actually geared towards emerging markets, Colombians, Brazilians, Argentinians, those people in the world, that allows them to get a yield, a Bitcoin native, crypto native yield, very seamlessly by actually abstracting away our app and making it a mobile first experience where you can essentially deposit Tether and other stablecoins, and then earn a yield in our wallet, mobile first, without needing to interact with DeFi or any other complexity there. And that's what we're really excited about. That we're building that kind of in stealth. This is like a little bit alpha drop here.
Hey, we love that.
And are excited to bring that to market probably next year.
Very exciting. Well, I'm excited to try that out when that gets dropped. And then finally, where can the users learn more about you guys, get involved with the stablecoin, actually use them?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to hermetica.fi. You can log in with your Xverse or Ledger wallet and either buy it on the Rune side. On the Rune side, you can buy it on Magic Eden. It's USDH, or on DotSwap. And then on the Stack side, you can buy it on Valar and Bitflow. But you can just come to Hermetica.fi, go to the app. You get all the information of where to buy it, how to stake it right there. You can follow me on Jakob_BTC on X, as well as Hermetica.fi on X, and get all the updates as they come in.
Perfect. Well, everyone go get involved with Jakob online and go get involved with Hermetica, and let's continue building the future of Web3.